Hello, it's Ivonne from the Fabric Hut. Hey, we are starting to come to the end of our binding series. So today's binding is a self-binding. We are going to take the backing fabric, in this case it's just a solid white, and we're going to wrap it to the front and make our binding out of it. This is a really fun technique. Really fun when you're doing like a baby quilt with that fancy fuzzy fabrics on the back. That makes a fun little binding so that they have that fuzzy right here on the outside edge too. So come on over to the sewing machine and let me show you how to do a self-bound quilt. Okay, so this is the sample I'd made when I was working on the floral patchwork, and I wanted to make a sample to show how to quilt it. So I've just had this sitting here since, and I thought this would be a really good one to show you how to do a self-binding. So first thing you have to do is you have to trim away your batting, but not your backing. So, well, after it's all quilted, I've got it all quilted up, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to trim off this batting right to the edge of my quilt, being careful not to catch the back because that would make a problem for us. Okay. Now, when you're doing this, you need to think about how wide of a binding you want. Now, on this, I want a real narrow binding because it's a mini quilt. It's like a little table runner. I don't want a big old wide binding. If you want a wider binding, it certainly is optional. This is a technique that makes it really easy to do wide bindings if you want them. When I was first quilting, I made all my bindings an inch wide. It was ridiculous. So, which means you need, if you're doing a regular binding, you need a 5-inch strip to make an inch wide binding. And it was like, well, I didn't know any better. So, okay. So now we've got our batting cut away. Now what we want to do is we want to go through and we want to cut, because I want a 1/4-inch binding. I need to cut let me think, what did I do? 3/4 of an inch from the edge of my quilt, okay? Because I just want a 1/4-inch binding. If I wanted more, if I wanted a little thicker, a 3/8 inch binding, I might then cut an inch. Just whatever size you want. I want this to be a nice, tiny little binding. So I'm just lining my ruler up to the edge of the quilt at the 3/4 of an inch and trimming off the excess. Okay? And I'm leaving the corners square at this point. I'm not doing anything to these corners. I'm just going to leave them as is. Let me get these cleaned up out of my way. Okay. So now we have our quilt, and I did the other 3 sides before we started here so that we wouldn't take all time. You guys know how to cut at 3/4 of an inch. Okay. So now we have the whole thing prepped and ready to do. You are going to want to have the same color thread as your binding. So white it is. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to start with your ironing table. You're going to start at your ironing board, and you are going to go through and press your 3/4 of an inch over till it touches the side of the quilt. Okay? Just like that. You don't need it up on the quilt, just right to the edge. Let me do this side, and I think maybe you can see better right here. Okay, right to the side of the quilt and press it down. Okay, all the way to the corner is fine. We'll get to the corners. As we get to the corners, I'm going to show you how to deal with them. But at this point, you're just ironing everything right in, even with the quilt, just like that. So far, so easy, isn't it? Nothing tricky about this. Now, when would you use a binding like this? wall hangings, this is an okay thing to do. I would not necessarily do this with a bed quilt or a lap quilt if it had cotton on the back. This is fabulous when you're using cuddle fabric or fleece on the back of a quilt. This works so nicely. But this cotton, if it were a big quilt, I would not be doing this with just cotton because it leaves one layer of cotton here, which is going to wear through really quickly on a regular quilt. Typically on a quilt, you have 2 or more layers right there. So this is not something I would do on a big quilt, but it certainly works well with the cuddle fabric because that stuff's indestructible. You can have just one layer and it'll be lovely. But I wouldn't do a whole quilt with a cotton like this. But this is just a little wall hanging or placemat or something, so I'm okay with it. Okay, we're almost all the way around. Well, I probably won't go all the way around because you don't need to see me ironing all the way around, do you? But let's get this one so we have a couple corners to do. Okay, last little section here. Okay, now, whoa, drop my mat. Okay, so this one you are dealing with sewing from the front. Okay, so you have it ironed over. Let's figure out what foot we need. Now, I like to use, when I'm doing a narrow one like this, I actually like to leave my straight stitch with the guide on because it keeps me nice and even. Okay. If you don't have that one, just put on a foot that you can do very nice and straight and even. A walking foot even works if that's what you want to do. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to start right here and I'm just sewing from, oh, my needle's unthreaded. I love it when that happens. Come on, up, up. Okay, here we go. Rethread my needle. Let's see if I can do it. My little old lady eyes. My grandson told me that one day. He says, "Mammy, you have old lady eyes." And I says, "Oh, sweetheart, you have sassy boy mouth." He was about 4, so it was funny. He's now 18, just graduated high school yesterday, and is the love of my life. But he did tell me I have old lady eyes. So that's one strike against him. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again with a threaded needle. And I am just sewing right down the front. It's keeping me even here. You can see this is exactly 1/4 of an inch because that's how I cut it. It's nice and straight. With this guide, I'm going nice and straight, close to the edge. Now, I could move my needle over just a little bit so it's a little closer to the edge, but it doesn't really matter. Now, we're coming to this corner. What are we going to do with the corner? Well, you could just fold it in like this, but then you have this big thing poking out here, and that's not very pretty. So what we're going to do is we're going to open it out. Don't get too close so you can still open it out. And we are going to take this corner and we are going to fold it in like that. Okay? See that? I have my 1/4 inch still ironed under, but I'm just folding it over at 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to fold this one up. And this takes a little bit of finger work here. And we'll fold it up again. Fold this one in. We'll fold it. Well, now I lost it. There we go. Get it in there. Okay. Do it one more time. Fold it in. You have to have 18 fingers to get this. Okay, and fold it over. Okay. We're going to fold this one down and fold it over. Well, now I just missed it. Okay, let's cut this out and we'll start it again without the thing in there. Let's come over here. So I have more room to show you. Okay, we're going to fold this one in at a 45-degree angle. It should be a 1/4 of an inch in, right? Okay. Fold that in. Fold this one in. Okay, see where we're going here? Get my fingers out of the way so you can see. I have 2 things folded in there. Once you get it, it's not as hard as it looks here, but you just have to be really ambidextrous and cunning. And then we fold it in one more time, and it's still not giving me what I want. Okay, so it's been a little while since I've done this. I had to refresh my memory. So here we go. I have this down, and if you want, you can go all the way to the edge and sew that down. Okay, then we're going to take this while it's folded and fold it up at a 90-degree angle like that. See that? Okay. Then we're going to fold this back through like that and get my fingers under there and fold it up. And there's our little mitered corner. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. And I'm going to catch this one, and then we're going to do it again on the other side. Whoop, I'm a little bit crooked here. This is where I'm going to use my stiletto to get it to push under there where I want it, because my fingers are too fat to get under my needle. Okay. And one more stitch is going to catch it. Whoop, there we go. Okay. Fold it over. And come down this side. This is the easy part, isn't it? Okay. Okay, now I'm going to stop a little ways out this time so I can do it the opposite way. I'm going to fold this one in and up, right? Okay, see that? That looks good. Now we're going to fold this one at that 90-degree, like that. And by doing this one first, that's going to make it easier to turn this corner. Fold that in and fold that over. Okay, I lost my grip again. This is what bad hands do for you. Okay, get it in there all the way to where it looks like a nice point. Okay, so I'm struggling because my fingers aren't holding it well. So let's do this, because I know if I'm struggling, others are too. Okay, we've got that. We're going to just put a little dot of glue there, and it's going to stay right there where I want it. See? Okay, now we're going to fold this one up like this, and I'm going to put a little dot of glue on it so it stays right where I want it. You know, if you struggle, find a way to make it work for you. Okay, there we go. Okay, so far so good. I think I'll give it another little glue out here to, come on. There we go. Little glue out there just to hold it down for me. Okay, now we're going to fold this one in. And guess what? Little glue right there. Give it its fold in right to the edge. Okay, see how this is coming along now? I think we're going to get it this time. And now I'm going to fold this whole thing over. And look at there. Well, that still wants to poke out, but there I go. I have my 1/4. And we can just go right up the side. Ta-da-da! Okay, and make sure I'm still folded in right. There we go. And up. I'm coming at it from the other angle. There we go. And turn the corner. Whew. Obviously, this is not a technique I use a lot, because if I did it a lot, that would be super easy to have accomplished without the struggles. But it's a good one to know. when you're doing it with the cuddle or the fleece, you're dealing with a wider binding, so it makes it a little bit easier to go around that corner. Okay. We're going to stop again right about here and do this next corner. Just get it done. Okay, so the third time's the charm. It's going to just go so smashingly. Okay, here we go. Fold it up. Give it a little bit of glue. Whoop. Right there. And fold that baby up. Okay, we're good here. Fold this one up. Well, let's glue it before we fold. Glue there. Get a little twist, and there it is, right there. Okay. Fold this one in. And fold it over. There we go. See how much easier that was when you know what you're doing? Look at there. Nice little mitered corner. Stop there and pivot. Now, like I say, this is a fun technique to use on baby blankets when you have, fancy stuff on the back. I'm going to take this off now so we can go back and look at our corners here. See, there's the one that we struggled with first. But here we go. They're looking better every time we do it. So that's how you do a flip it to the front. You can see your stitching is nice and straight here. It only gives one line of stitching on the back. If you wanted to, you could use a decorative stitch right down that to hold it in place, but you don't have to worry about catching your binding in the back when you're sewing, because it is the back, so it stays nice and consistent all the way around. I hope that helps. You have fun with your next quilt. Try this on something small and see how you like it. And then if you like it, go for something bigger. Alrighty. Thanks for joining me today.